No intro music today. Oh, I take that back. We do have intro music. It's Sawyer on the cry. Perfect timing, buddy. Just want everybody to know that he did not cry at all.
Until you started talking.
At all until we started talking. During this whole setup. And, yeah. Not one single cry. Oh, now we got some bubbles. There we go. What's going on?
Oh, you're still alive. Okay. Never mind. I'm just trying to make sure because it's not showing up here.
It's going.
There we are.
So, welcome to Ball and Chain Podcast. I'm Mox Born again. I have with me, it's my angel.
Hello.
It's episode 202. And, yeah, pretty excited to be here. How about you? First episode of 2017.
Always.
Not always.
I said as always.
As always excited. All right. We're going to try this. My microphone's not picking up very well. There it goes.
And we have a boy who's...
And we have a boy that's ready to cry. Anyway, so the Ball and Chain Podcast. We are a weekly podcast about the things that entertain us. Even during our busy lifestyle. Got 2 kids... bills, real life shenanigans. It's no longer drinking parties, playing video games till 6 a.m.
Yeah.
To go to work the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning.
With it being New Year's, we were reminiscing about our partying days and our old New Year's parties and things we used to do.
Yeah.
Used to.
But it's a new chapter. We still get to play games, just in a different kind of capacity.
And a lot of games we wouldn't normally play, like Roblox, Minecraft. Things that we wouldn't normally get into.
I don't play Roblox. Screw that game.
Well, I do some of it with Eli.
There you go. That's a good
what I'm saying. We get to play some things that we typically would not have ever even heard of or picked up.
So if you were by yourself, you wouldn't just fire up Roblox. You'd just be like, or would you fire up Roblox?
I wouldn't have known about Roblox.
Okay, gotcha.
I may fire up Roblox in my spare time.
Gotcha. Roger that. Okay. Well, like I said, it's episode... There we go. It's episode 202. Normally on the show, we'd have a top 3 and kind of go through our 3 favorite things that happened in the week of gaming, entertainment, and things like that. But we're throwing that out the window this episode. We're going to kind of talk about what we received for Christmas and some of the new tech we've got. We've got some new board... Actually, we got quite a few board games this year.
A lot.
Excuse me. So I think we're going to do an unboxing, or at least show some of the parts from Dead of Winter.
But you did get some tech as well.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some tech. And we got a little bit of everything to kind of talk about. So unfortunately, we're not going to have like the top 3 as usual. So it's not going to be the exact same podcast. We'll be back to normal next week. But before we get into the goodies that we kind of got for Christmas and got for the holiday season, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody watching on Facebook Live. Really do appreciate you guys. If you want to watch the full episode and all its overlay glory, head over to twitch.tv/BC podcast. There you get all the fancy overlays and everything like that. And if we play any like videos and stuff, you can get access to that. But yeah, if you just want to watch on Facebook Live, you can do that too, because it's right there, and you just click a button.
Yep.
The other thing is, if you want to help, if you like what we do and you want to help support the show, we would really appreciate you heading over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get access to when our shows go live every night. It's a great way to kind of support the show, and it doesn't cost you a dime. It's, just kind of one of those things. Leave a comment. That stuff kind of goes a long way. It helps get, the word out. Share or like us on Facebook. Sharing is awesome because, it's not all about, us promoting, but if, we get friends and family to do as well. If you like it, go ahead and support us. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into kind of the new tech we got. What do you want to go through first?
Well, first and foremost, I'm on my new notebook here.
Yes.
That's a new tech. it's an interesting gadget in that it flips around and becomes a tablet as well. Samsung, which I didn't know made computers.
Right, 2-in-1.
Yep. So yeah, it's nice for my photo editing, and
Right.
my old one was kind of getting the color on the screen was not always consistent. It would like flip between being light and dark, and it was always cold, and so overheated frequently.
The screen was cold, but the computer ran super hot.
Right. So just not reliable.
Even with like the undercooler.
Little lap tray thing.
Yeah, the lap tray. It still wasn't good enough to keep the thing from overheating.
Yep.
Which that could be remedied. That really wasn't the big deal. The big deal was opening Photoshop and taking forever with your editing. So I think this, this has got a lot more. I think I'm trying to remember what that one has. I had 4 gigs of RAM. I think
This
one's got 14.
Oh wow.
So. Onboard's graphics card. I think so. It's the Samsung 2-in-1.
Does it say Note something on the
Note
back?
Switch 7 or something like that, or Switch 7. I don't know. So I don't know. It's got Flip 7 or something. Yeah, I think you're right. So. No, it's really cool. Touchscreen, which is kind of new. Have you used the touchscreen very much?
Not very often.
Kind of forget that it's there.
I know it's there. It's just.
Does it work when you're in like?
Yeah, it does.
It does work.
Yeah, you gotta be careful because I know Eli a lot of times with my old computer because he was used to using. I think my mom's maybe have a touchscreen, or her iPad or something, but he was used to using things with a touchscreen, and so he would always be touching my my laptop screen, and I always had to remind him that it doesn't actually do that. But at any rate, now it does, and so I'll have to watch what he actually does.
Go ahead.
Other new, we're talking new, and with that, what else did he, the Minecraft.
Oh yeah, Minecraft.
Yes, Eli's, little, his little prank for Christmas. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Kind of got distracted there for a second. But yes, Eli decided he needed to prank me for Christmas. He decided to get me the PC version of Minecraft so we can do build battles like Dan does. We watch a lot of Dan Diamond Minecart. But yeah, he wrapped a box in a box and with Joe, wrapped a box in a box in a box in a box, weighted down with baby wipes, which I was looking for frantically the day before. And so we've been playing a lot of Minecraft on this new laptop as well.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think we had 6 or 7 boxes that we had wrapped together. I don't know. It was idea. I mean, it was just a little gift card, for a digital download, wrapped up. So. Not for Christmas, but for our anniversary, you got me the Amazon Dot, and this is completely out of left field. No, I had no clue, or wasn't even looking for it. But you said you got a good deal on it. But like, I'm impressed. Like the voice recognition is really like pretty much spot on. I mean, she's got access to the internet, so I mean, she's got pretty much all the answers. But like the integration with your cell phone, and like you can set up your calendars, and the other thing that's interesting is it has its own app store kind of, and they don't call them apps, they call them skills. So you can teach it different things in the sense of you download
like the 20 questions.
20 questions. They got different games and stuff like that you can download, and basically it just learns. There's also a way that you can teach it how you speak and things like that, so it can learn from its user, which is kind of scary in a robots taking over the world type of.
And you notice that it hears where you are too. It points to you.
Oh yeah, there's a little around the rim of it has like this blue light.
A light.
LED thing or whatever, and when you speak towards it like. It's a solid blue, and then it turns light blue where you're talking from. So, like, it knows where you're coming from. Like, I guess it can sense you from the microphone, I guess. The directional
it's just
microphone.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it's like, wow, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So, but, extremely useful, fun, set kind of like what you do with Siri, Alexa set my alarm, 6 a.m., And, or even if you don't say AM, she's like, would you like AM or PM tomorrow? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, AM. That's right.
Your news stream is pretty cool. How it streams in different news channels.
Yeah, you can. Different content providers can upload their headlines and things like that in audio files, so that you can say, you know, what's in the news today, and it'll go through like the news outlets that you've selected. So it's not just like, you know, NPR and, you know, CNN and all these preloaded things. You can actually edit the list so it, you know, in what order they go in and stuff like that. So I don't know. To me, it's interesting. It's one of those things that, you know, you need to try it before you gotta knock it. The other thing that I want to talk about quickly is the Gear VR. Mm-hmm. That I got for Christmas, that you got me for Christmas. wasn't really a fan of VR. Like, we tried it, the VR headset or whatever at Verizon store, and it was, you know, it was alright. Like, I really wasn't kind of stoked on it. It seemed like it was like a high price point for such a little return. Especially when you're talking like the PC versions, where you've got to have like this, you know, $1,000 rig to run this $900 machine, right? So like if you want the VR headset and the controllers and then the light sensor or the sensor modules, you know, you're spending almost $2,000 worth of tech just to get like this type of, you know, experience. And I don't know. It's just
I'm gonna have to take away.
That's fine. That's fine. Bye, buddy. We'll see you later. Maybe you might be hungry.
Or teething.
Oh no, not teething. No, bro. So Gear VR, it's pretty sweet. Works with a couple different Galaxy smartphones. The one game that I've downloaded so far that I really enjoy was it's called Don't Stop Talking and Nobody Explodes, or something like that. Keep talking and no one explodes. There you go. And essentially, what you got to go to this the company's website and print off this. It's like a 20 some odd page document, and it's a manual for defusing a bomb. And the person with the VR headset on, you know, they turn on the game or whatever, and there's essentially a bomb sitting in front of you that has, they call them modules. There's 11 modules, 5 on top and 6 on the bottom, and you can rotate this bomb around, and each module is kind of like a puzzle or whatever. So, like, for instance, one of the puzzles is there's, you know, a set of wires in front of you, and basically the person with the VR headset tells, you know, kind of describes what wires there are, what order they're in, how many there are, and the person with the manual has to open up to that page or whatever, and it gives them instructions. Okay, well, if there's, you know, is there 3 red wires? Yes or no? You know, is the bottom one green? Cut the 4th wire. And so it's very, like, cooperative in like a whole new sense, where one person's looking at one thing while the other person's looking at something completely different. It's very interesting. It really kind of gets your creative thinking going, like what are you looking at, and kind of describing things and things like that. So it was a new experience. It really kind of got me hooked, and I was like, oh, this is the type of thing I want to show people. You know, it's not graphically intensive. It's not, you know, dealing with a lot of motion, so you don't really get motion sick with it. You can play it for an extended amount of time. In fact, the one downfall to the system is with the phone. The phone basically will go into like an overheating mode, and it'll basically tell you to turn it. You know, it's time to take a break. Blah blah blah. So that's the most unfortunate thing about it. But you know, other than that, you know, the games are kind of, you know, are a lot of fun to play with. They're, you know, quick, you know, 10-15 minute, you know, intervals type of stuff. But that game in particular, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, is so far has been my favorite. It's really kind of the one that kind of sets apart from the rest, and it's well planned out. And from what I've been told, it's actually a game that's existed before VR, but it's been adopted into this VR world, which is kind of interesting. So, I don't know. We'll see. What else do we get? Let's talk about the Amazon Dot, Gear VR. What else? What other tech did we get, hon? Is there anything else that...
A 3DS?
Oh... Eli got a 3DS, which I know we are really late to the party on that one, but he's been eyeing it for a while. He's had the original DS or the DS Lite or whatever for quite some time, really enjoying that. But there's just a handful of games that he's been wanting to play, but we keep, every time we go to the store, he's always like, oh, I want to look at the games, and like the first ones he goes to is always the 3DS ones. And this year he's been getting into Pokemon quite a bit, thanks to Pokemon Go, mostly. But he really got into what was it, Pokemon Sun and Moon is what it's called, right? Okay. So we got him Santa got him Pokemon Sun, and the white 3DS, and he's really been digging that. So. I haven't had a chance to play it yet because he's been pretty much using that exclusively. Have you been able to play it yet, hon? No. So there's a couple Zelda games that I think he'll enjoy that are on the 3DS and the DS.
You got the Lego Adventure?
Oh yeah, you got Lego Avengers as well, he's enjoyed that one. But what is nice is that you can play the original DS games on it. It's backwards compatible. He's got a few, games that he likes to play. So it's nice that they've included that. The kind of shortcoming that we were rudely awakened to Christmas morning was the 3DS does not come with a charging cable, which is kind of strange. I don't know if that was just the one that Santa brought us. Just forgot to include a charging cable in there. I mean, it doesn't come with it because on the box it says it doesn't. But luckily what's that?
That particular packaging.
Yeah, that particular package. I'm not sure what's up with that. But luckily the DS Lite charging cable worked with it. So I find it rather odd that they wouldn't include it charging and just assume the person that buys this has a DS already. It'd be sad to wake up, Christmas morning and open that up and be like, hey, look, a DS, and then you play it, we played for like an hour and a half or so and it died. Yeah. So it wasn't even it didn't even have a full charge out of the box, which is kind of sad, but he still enjoys it. Luckily we had the charging cable, and if you don't have a charging cable, you can pick one up. They're relatively cheap. It's just unfortunate that it didn't include it. Let's see, what else? Trying to think if there's any other tech that we got before we jump into like board games and stuff like that. I think that's about it. Yeah. So as far as board game goes, we got quite a few. We got if you've heard of Joking Hazard, it's a game that we got from Amanda's sister. Essentially, kind of think of, you see them on Facebook all the time, the little stick figure drawings. They're very inappropriate jokes, but kind of think of Cards Against Humanity, but instead of just words, they're little panels of the cartoon. Kind of plays out the same way. There's a judge, and then everyone plays off of the judge, the judge's card and stuff like that. They added a little bit of twist to it where you flip over the top card from the deck, and then the judge can choose to play a card before or after the deck card, and then everyone has to play, after that one. The players don't get to choose where they play, just the judge does, and then the judge is the one that actually picks out which comic was meeting their inappropriate nature. So I don't know, it's a lot of fun. There's a ton of cards. We played the standard version where you just do just kind of like what we just talked about, where you flip over the card and then the judge plays. But there's another variation in the rules that's super interesting. Essentially, everybody draws 10 cards, and you make one long comic strip. And then obviously you can vote if they match or they don't match, and someone, you can draw a new card if you need to. But the first person to run out of cards is technically the winner. We kind of went off on our own little tangent and just said, let's just play until we're all out of cards. So I don't know. It was a lot of fun. But yeah. So that's a thing. We also got a game called Exploding Kittens, which is it's a pretty fun game. There's basically it's a deck of cards. Everybody gets a handful of cards, and the object of the game is to run out of cards. And there's like these kind of like instant death cards, if you will. They're exploding kittens, and if you draw it, you have to play it. But if you have a card in your hand that defuses the situation, whether it puts the card back on the deck or shuffles it into the deck or whatever, it'll save you from losing the game. It's a lot of fun. It gets kind of tedious at the very beginning until you actually find one of the exploding cards, the exploding kittens. Once you find the exploding kitten, then the actual game kind of ramps up a little bit, because your cards have a little bit more meaning. Just because, obviously you don't want to draw cards because you're trying to, discard all your cards, but you don't want to waste all of your really good cards to skip a turn, because you want to save those for when the actual kitten comes to the top of the deck. That way you can interact with it and save yourself a little bit more. So there's kind of like a really, the beginning part is very much, playing cards, but trying to keep some of the good cards, play out your hand and be conservative. And then once that kitten comes to the top, you're like, oh god, here we go. And then, everybody knows, like, okay, I'm going to put it 4 cards down or whatever. And, some cards give you that option. So, I don't know, it's an interesting game. Definitely worth picking up if you got a family of 4 or whatever, or a play group of 4. It's a lot of fun. So we also picked up, or Amanda got me for Christmas, the Dead of Winter, The Long Night expansion. We had purchased Dead of Winter probably a few months ago. What do you say, like 6 or 7 months ago? Not that long. About September. Yeah, so in September we had picked it up. It's a interesting game in the fact that you have it's a huge game, this massive layout of a game. You have basically played the role of a group of survivors in the zombie apocalypse, right? So the main board kind of houses like your main characters. It's called the Colony. It's got like your main objective card. So each game has, or each box has a set of objective cards that before the game starts you pick one out, and this is your main objective. You have to uncover so many survivors or rescue so many people. You have to collect so much food. And then there's some that you have to venture outside the colony to these other locations. So there's 6 location cards, like a school, there's a grocery store, gas station, police station, things like that. And those have their own decks of cards that you can search for certain things. So it's kind of like a resource management type of game. And then there's also each round has like what they call a crisis card. This is kind of like the task, the goal you have to complete before the end of the round is finishes. Basically, every person takes a turn in the round or whatever, and all your movements you have to roll for exposure. So if you roll, and you get bitten, anybody in that that character immediately dies, and anybody in that location has to roll for exposure again. Basically, simulating the virus continuing down through whoever's in that location. You collect weapons and things like that, and characters have special abilities, but it's pretty sweet. Here, let me pull this one down real quick. So here's Dead of Winter. This is the expansion pack, Dead of Winter, The Long Night. So you can, each game is a standalone. So if you have the original, that one plays by itself. This one you can pick up and play by itself. Or there's instructions in here where you can combine the two and kind of have one giant awesome party. So it's got here's character cards. I don't know if you can see that. But basically there's a couple different statistics in there. Like each character has its influence based on their role in the group. So the ones that have the most influence usually have, are more likely to survive. Then they have on their an attack stat. So when they're attacking other survivors or attacking zombies and things like that, that's fine. Each one just has their own attack phase or whatever. So they how good are they attacking? Same thing goes with searching. So when you're searching for certain items and locations and things like that, you want to have a high search so you can find the things you need. And then here is I talked a little bit about the locations. So here's a location card. This magnifying glass is where the deck goes for this is the grocery store. Then there's 4 places for zombie tokens that can arrive at that location. Then the cool thing about this is in each location at the top here tells you what can be found at that location. So at the grocery store, you're more likely there are more food cards in this stack of cards. There's medicine, tools, and then there's also survivors there. Whereas the police station, rather than having food be the most popular thing, you can get weapons are obviously the most likely of things to find there. So that's kind of the neat variance to the game, where you can, what do you need to survive? Do you need food? Do you need weapons? Do you need to find people? Things like that. So you can kind of change to what you're looking for, or not really change what you're looking, but you can really influence the game by where you're searching and stuff like that. So it comes with basically a stand-up character for each person. So this kind of marks where your character is and things like that. Let's see here. And then it also comes with little standees for the zombies. I don't know if we can see that very well or not. Yeah, there you go. So it comes with a bunch of those. Now the original version, they had 15 or 16 types of zombies or whatever. This has got you get a wider variety of zombies. There's special zombies. This guy's got giant claw things. We haven't played the game yet, so I'm not really sure what the difference is, or if certain zombies are stronger than others. But I don't know. It's just interesting they didn't just copy and paste the same stuff. They actually put some thought into it. Along with zombies, this particular expansion comes with a couple different modules, and I didn't quite understand what it was until I read through the directions. But inside this expansion, there's actually 3 expansions. So there's one expansion where you're dealing with bandits, and the bandits have their own location, and they don't have a deck at their location, but they collect cards from the other locations and bring them back so that they eventually build a deck, and you can go there and rob them or take their supplies and things like that. By supplies, here is one. So these are a supply card. It just kind of gives you an idea. Fuel for the fire. Just random things that make the game go a little bit further. Let's see what else. But yeah, so we talked about the bandits, Rexon, which is kind of like a pharmaceutical company that you're around. They do, I think they did testing and things like that. So I think that's where the alter zombies come into play. It also, which is, I haven't had a chance to look through here yet, but I've read that there are different different weapons that you can obtain. So, it's pretty exciting. Let's see here. Anyway, so yeah, so that is Dead of Winter. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. So, you want to talk about the game that you got while I go through and ban some people?
Yeah. Harry Potter Harry Potter Battle of Hogwarts, I believe. It's a deck building game, which I've actually never played an actual deck building game before. But it's really pretty interesting. You have it's up to 4 players. You play as one of 4 characters: Harry, Neville, Hermione, or Ron. Each character starts with a 10-card deck. Then there's the Hogwarts cards, and those are what you build your deck off of. Basically, there are a total of 7 games in the box. Each game has its own box of cards, its own rules. But for the most part, basically what you're trying to do, you have locations and you have villains, and you have to stop the villains from overtaking the locations, and defeat all the villains before they can take all the locations, basically. Therefore, saving Hogwarts.
Yeah, for saving Hogwarts. Woo!
Yep. Really, games 1, 2, and 3, I think, are kind of easy learning games. From what I've read, 4, 5, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 get progressively harder. And it's kind of like going through the 7 books of Harry Potter, basically, is what it kind of amounts to. So it'll be interesting to play a little bit more of it.
Yeah, we played the first 2. No, we played the
first 1 and we played 3.
1 and 3. So yeah, because we weren't really familiar with the game, played 1, and then you read that, like, hey, you can, if you're familiar with these games, you can skip forward, which is what we did. And
it's pretty simple. It's very self-explanatory, but from reading more information about the game, there are more different mechanics that come into play the more you, the further into it you get.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what else kind of comes in, which makes sense, because as the group goes through school, they're becoming more advanced in their skills, and they know more powers and various things like that. So
right. So everybody gets a character card that Does the starting one have a special ability?
No.
No. So then the second one you do gain. You do gain a second ability, and it's kind of interesting if you've never played a deck building game before, like Dominion or whatnot. I would highly recommend playing through at least the first module.
And it may seem a little kind of boring. I thought it seemed playing the first one a little like.
It's almost like playing. I mean, it's almost like playing like a practice round. Yeah. And once you get once you play, I think if you play the first one, the second one's not as, you don't really need to. You can just skip right to the third one. That's where kind of like the more interactions happen.
Right.
So.
I think the further you get into it too, the more, because you're building up that deck, so the more you play it, or the longer you're playing the game, the more fun it becomes, because you have more cards to draw from and more things to do.
Right.
And you start to kind of develop your strategy.
Yeah. To be honest with you, when I purchased it, I wasn't expecting too much, just because generally, like, licensed games like this are, tend to be
it's more the novelty of having the game of that type of
right. But it turns out that the game's actually really good. It's well thought out.
There's a couple little typos in the box.
Yeah, there's a couple typos in the box, but it is what it is. But it's well thought out. I think the mechanics are a lot of fun. I agree that the first book, or the first game one, it doesn't feel like the enemy is attacking back.
Even game 3 didn't get real tricky.
Right. The dark arts cards, I think, are the ones that really kind of stand off and really set the game off, which kind of like augment that turn. So, like, sometimes, some cards don't allow you to draw additional cards, which with this deck building game is extremely important because you want to, spend influence to get new cards, which go to your discard, and the only way to get to those new cards is to draw through your entire deck, therefore shuffling your discard pile.
Right.
So if you can't draw more cards, you're not gaining any, ground. So...
But yeah, overall, it's a lot of fun. And then, of course, we got some kid games, the Pie Face and Battleship that we've been playing a lot of.
Yeah, Battleship was... I'm really glad we picked up that one. No, Santa was the one that picked up that one, I think.
I don't know.
Santa picked up one of the two. But anyway, I'm really glad we picked up Battleship. It kind of brought back some fond memories. And, it's just one of those nostalgia games. So.
And Eli just likes smacking himself in the face with Pie Face, so.
Yeah, he doesn't even spin. Like, he forgets to spin. Like, he'll put his face in there and start turning like, oh, dude, you need to spin the thing to see how many times you're clicking. And I don't think he cares.
He just play it by himself. He just wants to get hit in the face with whipped cream.
I don't even think he likes to eat whipped cream. I wonder if he knows that that's actual food and not just part of the game.
I don't know.
Maybe we should... That's how we can get him to eat more food.
Mashed potatoes!
We can just put it on the hand and like, hey, let's play Pie in the Face. This time we're going to use mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Not a bad idea.
I don't know. So, anyway. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we close out the show?
Well, we had a bunch of other stuff we were going to talk about, like Game of Thrones and Dying Light.
Yeah.
But this fussy little one is kind of making it a difficult show.
Yeah, we can talk more about that next week.
That's fine with me.
So, next week we'll go back to our normal show next week where we've got our top 3 and stuff like that. We'll talk about Game of Thrones, Dying Light. I know those are pretty old games, but we've been trying to get through some of our older gaming stack and things like that, and those were kind of like the 2 big ones that I wanted to definitely hit. I've also got some gameplay. We can talk about Dead Rising 4. Hadn't had a chance to talk about that yet.
Well, and you recorded some Game of Thrones too.
We did, but the good news is we recorded using the wrong format, so we can't actually view it. So I know, right? Doesn't suck. It sucks, doesn't it?
I guess we should have rented again, and I can play some more.
Oh, darn it. Anyway. Alright, so we'll be back to normal schedule next week, guys. So we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m.-ish. I know we've got a little bit of a late start this time, but, duty calls with this little guy. So he kind of controls things, and I don't even think he realizes it. I think he's just like, you know what? You will bend to my will.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, we really do appreciate you watching. If you watch us on Facebook live, we appreciate it. The Twitch chat was a little O'Reilly today, but we do enjoy you guys watching us on twitch.tv/BC Podcast. If you want to help support the channel, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Hit the subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Anything you can do to kind of support the show. It's free, so it doesn't cost you a dime. But yeah, we really do appreciate it. If you would like to, you got a few extra bucks a month you want to send our way, you can head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/72DPI. And basically, every month you can donate $1. Helps keep the lights on, or keep the light on. We're looking at getting a second light, so I don't have this really bad shadow on my left side. So helps keep the lights on. We really do appreciate it. That's Patreon, patreon.com/72DPI. Thanks, guys, and you have a good night. Bye. Bye. Angel says bye.